into Big Ten media days and bringing back a lot of production offensively. This is a group that, remember, got way better on that side of the ball last year, particularly in the run game. Reggie Corbett, very explosive, coming back. You see among the departures, Nick Allegretti, mainstay on the offensive line, but the rest of that line, by and large, coming back intact. And we do see Bobby Roundtree on there. I think it's important to point out Bobby Roundtree, a serious spinal injury in this past off season, and so will not be on the field, obviously, for the Illini this year, but a really great place to start, Coach. And just to get an update on Bobby, what can you tell us about his situation?
Well, it's first off, it's a tough situation to be in. It's not a call you would like to get. Bobby and his family, of course, going through a tough time right now, but as you mentioned, it's a serious spinal injury. Bobby won't play for us this year, but same way he attacked being one of the best defensive ends in football, he's doing the same thing with the rehab. He's getting excellent care at the Shirley Ryan Hospital facility here in Chicago, but we'll be there with him along the way, and he's getting better.
What's been the message to the team when you have a devastating injury like that to a teammate? What do you try to convey?
Well, the only message you can give is when a family member is going through something tough, you're just there. You rally around him as much as anything. Bobby has a lot of brothers on our football team, and they've stepped up to the plate. What I've seen from this time and watching Bobby and his family go through this is so many people have shown the good in them. What can I do to help? So that's what we're going through. Team is going through that. I don't believe in using motivating things like that to have good seasons or anything like that. But what our team has done is just been there available for Bobby.
How much will your weekly schedule change taking over the defense compared to some of the things you were doing previous 3 years?
Well, I've been involved, Coach, but when you're making the calls, there's a lot more. In order to do that, first off, you have to trust what's happening on the other side of the football. Earlier, you mentioned the improvement that we made. In 1 year, we went from one of the worst offenses to one of the better offenses, what we're able to do. I feel like we can make the same type of change on the defensive side, but my day, I'll be a lot more involved, have a plan, was able to be a lot more involved in the spring, so we're excited about taking this next step.
Coach, from the podium, you talked about all the youth that had to play 2 years ago. Now those guys are juniors. How have you seen them grow, not only just as players, but as leaders for this football team?
Well, when you're a young player, there's a lot you have to improve on. First off, just developing their bodies. Howard Lou Hernandez, our new strength and conditioning coordinator, and he's doing a great job of physically developing them. But you have time. Experience teaches you so much, just situations that they've been in. And moving into the leadership role, when they first got here, yes, they were listening to other people. Mm-hmm. They're running the locker room right now. That's why there's so much optimism about what's going to happen, too.
After 3 years, how have you found having a bigger and much younger roster than you were used to in the NFL? I'm dying to know how different it is to manage.
Well, it is different, Coach. And unfortunately, we had so many injuries. A lot of times we've had an NFL roster a little bit. But the more, the better, because it's a physical game and you need all of those guys. Walk-ons in your program, they're just as important as anybody else. So we need all those numbers. And seemed like if you just stay there and you do what you're supposed to, you'll get an opportunity to contribute some kind of way.
Coach, let's go on the offensive side and start at the quarterback position. You got a really talented young man in Williams coming in, be a true freshman, and then you have a grad transfer. It's hopefully going to be on campus. So you've had some new voices that could possibly be leading that team. What are you going to need from those guys to be able to continue this offense moving in the right direction?
Well, I think those guys came here because they saw what can happen in this offense. Isaiah Williams, you mentioned him first, versatile. He's known as a guy that can, make plays with his legs, but he's an excellent passer too. But he's young, and there's a lot for him to learn. That's why we felt it was very important to add a graduate transfer quarterback in Brandon Peters. And eventually, the quarterback has to be able to throw the football. He can do that, and he's been in a lot of situations that should be able to help a young Roan.
Coach, I keep asking you personnel questions because your perspective is so different because of your background in the NFL. So you took 5 grad transfers. Obviously, they're eligible right away. But how do you feel about an underclassman being able to transfer and being eligible right away? Obviously, you have to sit out a year right now.
Yeah, you go right to those tough questions, don't you, Coach?
Well,
Probing journalist.
No, your perspective is so different.
Well, Coach, I look at it a little bit. Sometimes divorce can be a good thing, and it's a necessary thing. So we as coaches, we're mobile. So I think you have to be fair, you have to be able to let the players do the same thing. So I understand that. A little bit of the problem that we had a little bit is I don't know all of the reasons why some guys get immediate eligibility and others don't.
The
Just
appeal
a little bit more,
process.
the appeal process,
Right.
more transparency with that process. But I have to be one. I understand letting players, if it doesn't work, to be able to move on. Now, if we all got together and all players had to sit out 1 year and you still regain your eligibility, Luke Ford is not going to play football for us this coming season. But he will eventually play 3 years for the University of Illinois, so we'll just live with it.
Coach, talk to me about this new facility that's, I guess, weeks away from opening up.
Yes, weeks. I like weeks when you say that too, Howard. I just know right now, full speed ahead of them getting it ready. Coaching staff-wise, we're supposed to move in this coming Monday. And knowing your history with our university, being a great player there, it was needed. It will be one of the best facilities around, and it's just awesome to see what our players will get a chance to train in. It's about recruiting, but it's for the current players as much as anything, and they'll be able to, again, train in the top facility around.
What makes Rod Smith such a good coach?
First off, he's a personable guy. You like Rod. You believe in him. And he has a history. When I initially interviewed Rod, he had a plan. I knew what I was looking for, but this is how we would do it. And he's been exactly who I thought he would be throughout. And again, he has a track record now. We know what we're looking for at every position, and I'm looking for our offense to even take another step. Reggie Corbin was outstanding this past year, and he can do some more things. When you have an offensive line coming back the way we do, pretty much intact except for Nick Algretti, we should be pretty good.
It's a physical-looking group
It
you
is.
have coming back.
It's a physical group. They look different now, too. And I'm going to go back to how they've been training. We're excited for good reason.
How do you get better on the defensive side of the ball? We talked about the fact
Where
that
do we start?
Well, but offense, I do think, look, that you can come in and you change the scheme, and there are ways to move the ball. But defense, it does come down to, look, can you stop them or can you not stop them? There are clearly things you could do schematically. I don't want to underrate that part of it. But in the end, it's kind of, can you tackle? Is that kind of where you are? I mean, is it just fundamentals?
Yeah, I mean, there are some things schematically that you can do, but we're not going to venture too far away from there. Most of us are running a similar defense. It is how you do it, though. Technique. As we talk about maturing your role, knowing more about what to expect, pre-snap, all of those things. And then it's just improving technique-wise. Yeah, you have to keep recruiting a better athlete, and we have to coach better. I think all those things you're talking about is what we've done. That's why there's optimism.
Do you put more live snaps in the camp, developing a defense?
Well, we put more and more live reps in camp, yes. But at the same time, Coach, I don't know if that was necessarily the finishing part. A lot of it was just getting in position to make tackles and things like that. I'm going to put as much emphasis as anything on that.
At this point of the year, I know you're itching to get back on campus, to get back in front of the guys and be able to coach the players up. Do you feel like you have everything in place right now so when they show up, it's just press the button, let's go, let's start installing, let's start developing, let's get to where we need to go?
Absolutely. And that's year 4 should be that way. First year, hey, how is this going to play out? Year 2. But year 4, yes. And for us, same systems are in place for the most part. And we've gone through a spring together, so we kind of know what we're – so, yes, we have our scripts, everything ready to go. Guys are ready to go, and we can't wait to get to training camp.
Coach, it's such a competitive and balanced division. I mean, I think it might be the most balanced one in all of college football. But the challenge then becomes moving up, and you got to pass people, right?
Yes.
So what's kind of the formula for Illinois to start passing people? What do you want this team to be in order to get better?
Well, I think it's all the things we talked about. You're right. There are a lot of good teams ahead of us. This past year, we won 2 games in the Big Ten. All right, we're able to beat 2 foot. Those weeks. That's who we are. I feel like we can be that each week. And if we do that, we can compete with the guys all the way up at the top. Our champion, we played them last game of the season. In the last quarter, I felt like we had caught them. We were there knocking on the door. They beat us by 8. So I think we can start from that spot.
Schedule-wise, Coach, we're going to take a look at that here. I think pretty manageable, certainly in the non-conference. How important is it for you guys to get off to a really good start against those 3 teams?
Oh, it's critical, and I know they're not Big Ten schools, but as you look, I mean, Eastern Michigan beat Purdue last year, Akron beat Northwestern, so those are 3. UConn plays good football. We're going to have to be ready each week. There's parity in college football. It's as simple as that. And if we take care of business during that time and open up Big Ten play with Nebraska coming into town, we did some good things against Nebraska last year. Offensively, defensively, we have to step up to the plate this year.
Those early games are almost like Super Bowls, which both you guys have had experience in.
He'll have every game as a Super Bowl if you're not careful.
I understand that, Coach.
I mean, you understand these guys have actually.
I said that.
Yes.
I said that.
Right.
Sitting next to 2 Super Bowl guys here. You're not. You're stuck sitting next to me.
He was a professional basketball player in Europe.
That's not true.
It was. You received per diem
It was
for it.
College.
You were paid.
Lovie Smith, this has digressed wildly off topic. Wonderful to see you as always, Coach. Thank you very much.